Hey everyone, welcome back to day 6 of 31 days of devotion. So we're gonna jump right into it. Today's title is Don't Be Fooled. It says, in order to experience my very best for your life, you need to walk in my will, being led not by your emotions, but by my spirit. Your feelings can't fool you, but the truth will set you free. My words should be your deciding guide on all issues in your life. My word will keep you on a straight path and narrow path. You will not always feel like being obedient, especially when you don't understand my ways. You need to trust me even when you don't understand the direction in which I'm taking you or your feelings don't agree with your faith. Your emotions don't know what lies ahead in your future. Only I do. They cannot direct you onto paths of righteousness, but my spirit does. I want what is best for you. Sometimes that includes pain and sorrow for a season. So don't fear when trouble comes your way. Many of your trials are merely a setup for my miracles. I'm going to read that back. Many of your trials are merely a setup for my miracles. I want you to continually find peace and confidence in knowing that I am with you to give you a future and a hope. Don't allow your emotions to fool you. If you do, they will cause you to go down paths that lead to despair and disappointment. Live in my joy and find peace in my sovereignty and love. Don't be fooled. Today's Bible verse is James 1 verses 16, and it says, do not be misled. Y'all. So now I'm going to read James 1 verses 13 through 18. And it says, when tempted, no one should say, God is tempting me. For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. But each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desires and enticed. Then, after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when fully grown, gives birth to death. Don't be deceived, my dear brothers and sisters. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. He chose to give us birth through the word of truth, that we might be a kind of first fruits of all he created. And now I'm going to read the study Bible version at the bottom for chapter 1, verses 13 through 14. Through 15. And it says, it is easy to blame others and make mistakes for our evil thoughts and wrong actions. We use excuses like, it's the other person's fault, or I couldn't help it, or everybody's doing it, and it was a mistake. Nobody's perfect. The devil made me do it. I was pressured into it. I didn't know it was wrong. God is tempting me. A person who makes excuses is trying to shift the blame from himself or herself to something or someone else. A strong believer, on the other hand, accepts responsibilities for his or her wrongs, confesses them, and asks God for forgiveness. Accountability is key, y'all. It says, people who live for God often wonder why they still face temptations. Does God tempt them? God tests people, but he does not tempt them by trying to seduce them to sin. God allows Satan to tempt people, however, and through these temptations, God refines their faith and helps them grow in their dependence on him. We can resist the temptation to sin by turning to God for strength and choosing to obey his word. Temptation always presents us with a choice. Will we say yes or no? Don't be fooled. Wow. So again, this topic of discouragement, which is the last few days, is really crazy because it says don't be fooled. And we can get, well, let's talk about it. We can get so discouraged about our shortcomings that we struggle with time and time again. And I know for me, I've once asked God, well, why do I keep falling into the same sin? Or why do you keep having this desire come to me? And it says that God is not a God of evil. He does not tempt us. But it's our own evil desires and enticed that leads us to sin. And when it's conceived, it leads us to death. And you have to die to yourself and now go into repentance to God and say, Lord, I struggle in this area, or I have sinned in this area, and I need your help. No matter how many times. And each time you have to take accountability for your own action and choices. It says temptation always presents us with a choice. Will we say yes or no? And there's also a Bible verse that says when you are facing temptation, God provides a way out, and you must flee and run from it. So in those moments of temptation, do we choose to fight with it and stay in it and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna throw blows with you or throw hands with you? Or do we choose to completely run from that situation and run to God? It's like getting into a fight with someone, and you probably can win, but you're putting in energy. You're picking up the battle yourself. Or you could just get up and walk away and go to somebody who will actually like do something about it. Let that sit, because we are very much led by our emotions. And it says, being led not by your emotions. In order to experience my very best for your life, you need to walk in my will. And walking in God's will is choosing, hey, this is something that God does not want me to do at this time. Am I going to do it? I really want to do it now, but what will be the consequences after I do this thing? And yes, choosing God's way is simple but not easy, but it will benefit me in the long run. And I feel like that's the main topic of discouragement is, will I settle for my will, or will I choose God's will? Even though in the moment it hurts, because I want a thing now and I have to wait and trust God to bring it forth. And it's not going to be in a way that I imagine, even though God is going to give it to me better, in a better way, but I still want it now. So am I going to lay down my will for his, or am I going to continue to pick it up? It says you will not always feel like being obedient, especially when you don't understand my ways. You need to trust me even when you don't understand the direction in which I'm taking you, and your feelings don't agree with your faith. There are so many times, I'm gonna be transparent, there's so many times I'm like, God, I don't understand what you're doing and it don't make sense to me. So, but that's not what he asked us to do. He didn't ask us to understand. He said, are you gonna continue to choose me, my will, and what I told you, and trust me even when you don't understand? Little kids have to listen to their parents even when they don't understand. We always use the example of the hot stove. They touch it, don't touch that. They do it. I'm telling you this for your good, because later on in life you're going to thank me that you wasn't burned. In the future you're going to thank me that because I stopped you from doing a thing, you didn't get burned in the midst of it. And I'm going to help you go through it instead of running away from it as well. So yes, it's hard at times to be obedient, but it's the best thing for us, because after disobedience comes shame, condemnation, conviction. And conviction is from God, but the shame and condemnation comes from within ourselves, because we ourselves chose to do a thing, and now we're mad with ourselves and we're trying to play the blame game. And we often try to blame others and make excuses, and sometimes we even blame God, because we're like, if you didn't do such and such, or didn't let such and such happen, I wouldn't be in this to begin with. Or if I had such and such, I wouldn't have been going through this. And honestly, we can't be fooled, like how it said, by our own thoughts and emotions. I'm sorry for the airplane. By our own thoughts and emotions, because if we want to put our trust in ourselves and place bets on us, we're going to lose every time. God put his bet on us so we can come to him every time something is going wrong, or anytime we have a feeling that is out of line and out of whack with him. So it says, the pain and sorrow is for a season, so don't fear when trouble comes your way. Many of your trials are merely a setup for my miracles. So as we go to him, we are setting ourselves up to receive his miracles for us. That could be just a breakthrough in peace in a situation, in joy in a situation, or just actually getting through a situation that you didn't deem possible because you're not doing it alone. Because you don't know what lies ahead in your future, only he does. So if he's the author and the finisher of our lives, why not trust him to continue to write out our pages? Live in my joy and find peace in my sovereignty and love. Don't be misled. And that is so easy for us as humans to do, to be misled. But we have a perfect God who wants to lead us into righteousness for our sake, so that we can be in close proximity with him to receive his miracles and his joy and his peace and his love without us interrupting in the midst of it. So that was day 6 of 31 days of devotion, titled Don't Be Fooled. Thank y'all for tuning in and have a good day.